All right, we are streaming live and we are recording. So whenever you are ready to begin, Commission President Rocky Smith, you may begin.
All right, I'd like to convene the regular City Commission meeting for Wednesday, February 17th, 2021. We'll do roll call.
Commissioner Denise McGriff,
Present.
Commissioner Rachel Lyle Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Frank O'Donnell is absent this evening, and Commission President Rocky Smith.
Here. And I think we'll skip the flag salute this evening. Move on to number 3, which I don't believe we have any ceremonies or proclamations this evening. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, so that brings us to number 4, citizen comments, and I believe we have one citizen comment signed up already. So William Gifford.
Good evening, Commission President and Commissioners. My name is William Gifford. I live in Oregon City. I don't seem to be able to find you on the YouTube channel, but I'm doing the best I can, flying blind here. I have a couple of kudos to make. First and foremost, in this emergency situation that we are in with the ice storm on top of everything else, I just want to say that I think our public works crews are amazing. I think that they are some of the best in the entire metro area, and I couldn't be prouder of these people. I think that they are doing an outstanding job at keeping our city running. I mean, they always do anyway, but even under these stressful times, and I know they are juggling a lot of balls. I just want to express my sincere thanks to them. Secondly, is the catastrophe that happened down at or near catastrophes down at the sewage treatment plants, Water Environmental Services West, with their power out. The crews that they have working down there to control that situation, these are unsung heroes, and they really deserve a lot of credit for all the extreme pressure and hard work that they are all doing. And, sometimes I am just really proud of this city. That's all I had.
Thank you, William. I agree, and we all agree. I'm sure we'll be commenting more on that later this evening.
It would be nice if I could see you people.
We can't see you either, William.
Yeah, you're lucky. All right. Thank you all.
All right. Katie, do we have any other citizen comment?
We do not.
Okay. All right. With that, that brings us to presentations, and we'll be having the Transportation Advisory Committee annual report. And I believe that the chair, Henry McEnroth, is here with us. Is there someone here to introduce him? Or...
Good evening, commissioners. So yeah, Henry McEnroth is here. He doesn't need much introduction. He's been on the TAC for years now, and has done a wonderful job chairing that committee. And I think he's got a summary report that he's going to go through. I think the full report was in your packet, so we understood your commission agenda was busy tonight. So Henry, take it away.
Oh boy, hopefully I got the sound on. I am the chair of the Transportation Advisory Committee, and I'm sure that you have all read the annual report that's in the agenda, so I'll just try to hit the highlights and let you move on to other business. We have had 7 meetings in the year of 2020. We normally schedule them on the 3rd Tuesday of every month, starting at 6 o'clock, and public and everybody is invited to attend. We missed 3 meetings because of the COVID situation. We missed another meeting because there was too much smoke from the wildfires to breathe, let alone have a meeting. And normally we do not have a meeting in December unless there's urgent business to attend to. What we do try to listen to all of our citizens. We want to hear from them about any sort of problems that they may see. We discuss them and then try to come up with some sort of a suggestion for Public Works to think about and implement if they can, or to alter. We do comment upon any city programs that are presented, giving the thought that perhaps non-staff members might have some different viewpoints. We represent the transportation issues on city planning efforts, typically things such as the comp plan revision or the transportation master plan. We tend to bring items of concern to the city staff that they may or may not be aware of. And we also support grant applications with public testimony and letters of support, so that the city may not have to spend as much of their own money as they seem to need in order to take care of some of the transportation issues. Now, we very much try to align our work with all the city commission goals. We want to cultivate the successful economic development. We want to address critical needs, and we want to ensure the livability and safety of the community. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up and let you move on.
All right, thank you, appreciate that. That brings us to the adoption of the agenda. Is there any item that anyone would like to pull from the agenda for the consent agenda? Commissioner McGriff.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to have a little further discussion regarding item 7B.
Okay, and Commissioner Lyle Smith?
That was also the item I was going for.
Okay. Now remind me what our new process is. We're going to approve the rest of the consent agenda at this point, correct?
Yes,
Is there a motion to do that?
yes, I'd like to move the remainder of the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded, pulling item 7B.
Okay, Commissioner Rachel Lyle Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Denise McGriff,
Aye.
and Commission President Rocky Smith.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, so then 7B is dealt with now, or does that go on the end of the agenda?
It goes to general business.
Okay.
Well,
Yes,
that's what we said where we were putting it. Right.
Thank you.
I concur.
So it would be 9D. Okay. All right, that brings us to item number 8, public hearings. This is a public hearing, but there's a request for a continuance. Appeal of Planning Commission's approval of the expansion to a 30-bed residential care facility with memory care at 182 Warner Parrott. So we'll get some input on this. There's a lot of people without power. There's a lot of people still without internet, and the concern from the city staff was whether or not the public that wants to comment on this or participate in the public hearing may not be able to this evening. Do we have any direction or comments on that?
No, I'd like to go ahead and just hear the staff report from Ms. Turway.
Okay. All right, Laura?
The only thing I could add to that is to say that staff does recommend that we keep the record closed and continue the hearing to March 3rd. And with that, we recommend that the City Commission not accept public testimony tonight until we can hear a staff report and hear a full presentation. And we will take the comment that the commission received today and include it in the packet for 2 weeks from now, if it's continued. I'm here to answer any questions.
All right, questions or direction with a motion?
Oops, yes, I'd like to move that we continue planning file. Sorry, I've got my screen here. Planning file GLUA 20-00020, CU 20-00002, and SP 20-00043, and AP 21-0001 to March 3rd. And as per staff recommendation, not accept any, keep record closed. Is that okay, Carrie?
Is there a second?
Okay, I'll second.
All right, moved and seconded.
Commissioner, yes. Commissioner Rachel Lau Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Denise McGriff,
Aye.
Commission President Rocky Smith,
Aye.
motion passes.
All right, that brings us to number 9, general business. 9A, second reading of ordinance number 20-1005, emergency annexation on Beaver Creek Road. Laura Cherway.
All right, thank you very much. As you recall, this is the second reading of an emergency sewer annexation for property that is less than an acre. And it is does not include a zone change at this time, so there are conditions of approval to limit the use of the property while it maintains the county zoning designation. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, any questions or a motion?
I'll move to approve the second reading of ordinance number 21-1005, emergency annexation of 0.9 acres at 19242 Beaver Creek Road, file number GLUA 20-00017 and AN-20-00001.
Second.
All right, and reading?
Thank you. This is ordinance number 20-1005, an ordinance of the City of Oregon City approving emergency annexation proposal number GLUA 20-00017, AN 20-0001, and approving the annexation of certain property located at 19242 Beaver Creek Road into the City of Oregon City.
Commissioner Rachel Lau Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Denise McGriff,
Aye. And when does this take effect?
it's as soon as it's submitted to the state and the state approves it.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Rocky Smith, or sorry, Commission President Rocky Smith,
Aye.
motion passes.
All right, that brings us to 9B, resolution number 21-10, initiating the process to vacate a section of the public right-of-way adjacent to 1625 Washington Street. Public Works Director John Lewis.
Thank you, Commissioner. This process initiates that, so there you will have another opportunity at this one, but we've received an application from a property owner about vacating this piece. A piece actually surprises me that it hasn't been vacated earlier. When I looked at it, it's been kind of in the similar condition for many, many years, and really there's no good city accessibility to this. It runs through the middle of a building, so we support it. We think it's the right thing to do. There's 2 property owners that own property adjacent to that. They've submitted some documentation, and we'll bring this back. But right now, we're recommending that we initiate the process to vacate the property. And if there's anything of concerns you have, you feel free to let us know, and we'll put that under consideration. There is, a code-driven process, and there's certain conditions that they have to meet. We think they meet those, but we'll definitely put it through the review process.
Is this the where Kruger Lumber is?
Was? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I was on the right block. All right, Commissioner McGriff.
Yes, no, my question basically involves, maybe it's semantics, but I thought that the property owner submitting the request initiated the action, and we're just responding to it by saying, yes, we agree or disagree with the vacation. Is that correct?
That is correct. So they submitted basically an application. The way the code reads is that application and our review of that, we would often scrutinize that. And if we, don't necessarily think it would be something the commission would support, we'd talk to the property owner. But if we think it would be something the commission would support, then we quote, initiate the process on our end. That's how it's derived in the code.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't want anything to happen to the Kruger Lumber Building. So it's a great old building.
All right.
Do you want a motion?
That would be great.
Okay, I'd like to move that we approve Resolution 21-10, initiating the process to vacate a section of the public right-of-way adjacent to 1625 Washington Street.
I'll second.
All right. Katie.
Yes, Commissioner Rachel Lyle Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Denise McGriff,
Aye.
Commission President Rocky Smith,
Aye.
motion passes.
All right. That
Before you move on, so this isn't very wide, is it?
My recollect is it's like 12 feet, 15, maybe. I can't, no, it's not very wide.
Yeah, I didn't see that in the report, but I thought it had to be like 10 feet. Okay, thank you. Super.
All right, 9C, Clackamas County Vehicle Registration Fee, Public Works Director John Lewis.
Let me pull up my staff report here. So hold on, bear with me for a minute here, but this is basically, so I'm going to go from memory here. Forgive me for that for a minute, but
Hey, John, you want me to kick it off while you try to get to it? I got it.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I know it was a group effort there, but thanks.
So the Clackamas County implemented a vehicle registration fee that collects revenue that is dispersed to the county as well as to local jurisdictions based on population that is available to use for transportation improvements throughout the community. At the February 9th, Clackamas County Board of Commissioners policy session, they requested that they reconsider the previous decision to enact the vehicle registration fee. The County Board of Commissioners is discussing this topic on February 23rd at their policy session. What we're brought forward here tonight is a letter, if the commission finds the letter appropriate and acceptable, that we would be forwarding on with the signature from Commission President Rocky Smith to the Board of County Commissioners for their consideration in their policy discussion. In the letter, we outline the importance of the vehicle registration fee to the community of Oregon City and unincorporated Clackamas County as they receive benefits from some of the improvements that we have made and are proposing to make. Within the letter, we identify some of the projects that we have already completed with that funding, such as additional rectangular rapid flashing beacons, Malala Avenue at Barkley Hills. The Gaffney Lane widening and sidewalk infill project is under construction. Additional rapid flashing beacons at William Street and on Lynn is in design, as well as additional protected pedestrian crossings on Holcomb Boulevard at Front and Swan is in design as well. As part of the upcoming biennial budget, when we did our survey, obviously pedestrian safety, traffic calming, infill were things that identified by the community as importance and needed. So as we're preparing those budgets and realize, we haven't made it through, completed the commission goal setting process, and we still have a budget committee process to go through. But some of the projects that we've identified, Gardner Middle School sidewalk infill in coordination with the work that's happening with the school, additional sidewalk infill projects, portions of 8th Avenue, JQ Adams, as well as part of our work at Beaver Creek and 213 at the intersection identified some needed improvements in order to address some of the changes in the level of service standards that we negotiated in that area with the Oregon Department of Transportation. One of those is a free right from Beaver Creek Road onto 213 northbound. That project in it directly benefits unincorporated Clackamas County residents as well as city residents in being able to construct that needed improvement. So really, and John, I forget the exact number, but I believe it's approximately $1 million. Is that accurate?
It's under that, but yes, it's more like $850,000 a year.
That is brought in by the vehicle registration fee that is dedicated to Oregon City for improvements to our transportation system.
A year or biennium?
A year.
A year. So John, is there anything else you wanted to add that I missed?
No, I thought the letter's good. I hope the commission would support it. One thing that I would say is just kind of this item came up kind of as a surprise at the Board of County Commissioners meeting. I know it was some of the discussion that the county commission president had in her election. And so it came up in a weird way, though, I thought a little bit. They were talking about the police sheriff's office continued funding and re-upping their their bond measure. And so, I guess it's their funding measure. And, so there was that discussion, and then it came up at that time as a way to kind of balance that that decision. And so, I don't know. I think it's going to be something that's going to play out politically. And so, Commissioner Lyle Smith, I think your work on the C4, there was a lot of discussion about C4 and how it supported this vehicle registration fee in the past. And it seemed like the rest of the county commission was caught off a little bit off guard to have it. And I was kind of surprised that the staff, suggested that they could have a work session ready in 2 weeks. And so we put this together pretty quickly. I think our list was ready to go anyway, but still, it seems like there's going to be some discussion there, and I don't know if there'll be opportunity for public testimony, but my hope is definitely you, Commissioner Lyle Smith, on the work on the C4 and the C4 Metro Committee. I bet it's going to get pretty a lot of discussion, and I think we'll need to make our case, and the cities will need to make their case for that. So that's all.
Commissioner McGriff.
Yes, Mr. Lewis, or Mr. Conkle, can you go over again? I recall, I believe, is it $5 gets added on to the vehicle when you're going to renew your license, and then this is apparently proportional through the jurisdictions. I mean, I remember it was a little bit past, but the case that the county commission made at that time was that this was going to benefit everyone in the county in terms of all the jurisdictions. So I think, proportionally, it's not about just one jurisdiction or the county. Obviously, the county, I presume, also gets funding from this as well. So we're talking, I don't know how, I guess I should know this off the top of my head, how many cities we have in the county who are all benefiting from this. But just, if you could just refresh my memory on just a little bit of the background.
My recollection, and this is coming from memory too, I should have looked at this in more detail. I've been
doing other things. Good, John. I got you.
Okay.
This is from Clackamas County, February 20th, 2019. County Board of Commissioners has approved an ordinance setting a $30 per year countywide vehicle registration fee.
Well, it wasn't $5.
The VRF will apply to cars, pickups, vans, other passenger vehicles registered in Clackamas County. Fee for motorcycles will be $15 a year. Since Oregonians pay vehicle registration fees 2 years at a time, the potential increase of $60 every 2 years for most motorists, $30 for motorcyclists. By state law, 40% of the VRF revenue will go to cities in the county. Of the remaining 60% would normally go to the county. 10% of that will be paid into a strategic investment fund for the county and cities to fund multi-jurisdictional projects And the remaining 50% will go to the county for unincorporated areas.
That's a good deal.
All right, Commissioner Rachel L. Smith.
Thank you. So yeah, that deal was negotiated at the C4 table that I was participating on, and so yeah, there definitely are some regional needs and lots of discussion about the use of the funds. In fact, there was a Clackamas County retreat 2 years ago. Didn't happen last year, but 2 years ago was when it was really taken up by all of the cities and the county staff to talk about how future VRF funds were going to be used. But I guess I'll start off with my first comment about the letter. John, I know you were probably exhausted, so I appreciate Tony backing you up because I know you've been busy this last week. The two sidewalk infill projects that are listed, I'm not sure why we would call out one over the other unless, I guess, one you've already targeted for some real specific need. Otherwise, I'm hoping that our sidewalk infill and pedestrian safety neighborhood concerns project in this next biennium can be make sure that we are looking at needs across the entire city. There's an equity lens to it. There's underserved neighborhoods that have traditionally have no sidewalks or very little sidewalks. So I'm hoping that we can use that lens to make sure our sidewalk infill and how we tackle those projects are balanced across the city. So I'm not sure why those two bullet points are called out. John, if you know real quickly, you don't have to address that now, I guess right now, but I was just wondering why we would call those two separately.
Yeah, my recollection is we're pairing, seems like every project we have now, we're trying to leverage different pockets that help us meet the commitments that we made to the community. So if it's a pavement maintenance project, right, those monies were supposed to be spent on pavement maintenance and maybe ADA ramps. That's what we've been spending them on. And with the school districts project and the fact that, so we are trying to get those places around schools kind of well tended to. So, we had that particular project thinking that we're planning to pave those streets, increase the project scope to include sidewalks so that we're dealing with the drainage, the sidewalks and the paving all in one deal. So that's kind of why we're targeting that area. We'd also kind of worked out an agreement under the development of the school to do that. And so we feel a little bit committed to that one. The other ones were, again, I think TMUF related. And so we do intend to spread those around. We just thought that for one, in the letter, they kind of exemplify, if you will, what we need to do, which is to improve neighborhood connectivity. So we can combine that a little bit more. If that's what you're basically saying is you don't want it to be as specific, we can definitely kind of generalize that if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I mainly just wanted to express my opinion on the whole sidewalk infill in general and how I'd like for us to look at it across the city. For the letter and for the purposes, I don't think Clackamas County is going to care whether or not we call out 8th Street and JQ Adams project versus others. So I'm not willing to hold up the letter for that reason. I just wanted to question why it was being called out. But to me, I understand the school one, but anyway, I'm kind of nitpicking the letter. It's not that big of a deal. I think my second question is really interesting that we're taking a policy position on this because when this was a super political topic and Oregon City, I believe, stayed quiet on this from a policy position outside of C4, where I think most of the cities were in favor of it. But politically speaking, this was a hot potato. And I'm not really sure what our residents think about the VRF. I know we're happy to get the funding because we know we can put it to good use. So I guess I'm gonna caution the commissioner. I just want us to be sure that we didn't talk about this as taking a policy stance a couple of years ago when it was going to the ballot, or when the county was talking about it. So I just want to raise it here to make sure that we're all in agreement. I know that's, Tony, that's what you're going for, is to make sure we're all in agreement. But I just find it a little bit interesting that we didn't take a policy stance a couple of years ago when this came out, and you know, I haven't heard anything from our community as far as how they feel about it, but I imagine we probably will by taking a policy stance on it now. So, and I'm not saying I'm against it. I remember when we talked about it at C4, Clackamas County, I believe, is the only county that doesn't charge a VRF, and how badly those funds are needed. But there's a lot of folks who did not agree with the VRF. And so I can only imagine that's part of the reason it's coming up. And then lastly, I'm happy to support whatever the policy position this commission decides to take tonight. I will take that policy position to C4 because I can pretty much guarantee it's going to be discussed at that table. So it would be helpful for me to make sure I have clarity on where this commission would like, what policy stance they want to take on this. I'd like to hear from the others on the policy position of this.
Commissioner McGriff, do you have any response to that?
She just left her seat. So
She is. Drop the mic.
I mean, it's just an observation. So I just want to make sure we're all very aware that, you know, this is kind of putting a stake in the sand that we didn't do before. And so I think the city has done a good job of identifying the value of it for us by listing these projects and how we're using it. And for all of those reasons, I think we could support it and get behind it. So
I think Commissioner McGriff is having a little bit of a computer issue. Work out real quick.
I mean, I personally remember the reaction when it first, was discussed. This letter is basically saying this can help us, doesn't necessarily mean we're supportive of it as a whole. We can say, because I don't think, we really, as a city, had much of a way to really stop it. But yet that now that it exists, it clearly has helped in some way. I don't necessarily think that, I guess.
Commissioner, could I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah, please.
I think Commissioner McGriff is having some issues. Could we take, Commissioner McGriff, can you hear us? Could we take a moment and just see if we can get her back online? So maybe, could we take 5 minutes? I'm sorry, and see if we can get her going again. We'll have her log back in.
All right,
and
it's
see if that clears
7:40,
it.
so 7:45 will be 7:45, 7:46.
okay.
Okay, let me give her a call and see if we can work through it real quick. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Griff, can you hear us?
Still can't hear anything. Getting nothing.
Okay.
Dial Tony Conkle.
Katie, can you mute her for a second? Denise, can you hear us?
It sent a message telling me it was going to turn itself off.
Okay, can you hear us?
I can't hear you at all.
Okay, do you want to log out of the Zoom and log back in?
That's what I was gonna do. I was gonna tell you that I was gonna do that because it said you need to read.
Okay,
Okay. Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I think we're back.
Hang on.
Okay, I think we're back.
Okay, sounds good. I'll let Katie know.
Okay, yeah, it just got the warning message and then it shut itself down and came back and then it didn't do anything.
Okay.
Thank you. It's working now, Katie. Sorry about that, Rachel.
Oh, that's okay. I understand.
It just booted me out of the system and then wouldn't do anything.
Yeah. I have that several times a week during my day job, so no worries.
Okay.
All right, Katie, let me know when we're ready. Are we ready?
Yeah, we're ready. Go ahead.
Okay, so we're gonna call the meeting back to order after our break. Commissioner McGriff, do you let us know where we left off? Because we were kind of, Commissioner Lyle Smith had asked kind of a question. I started semi-answering it.
About the vehicle registration fee?
Yes.
No, just go ahead where you were. I was reading some lips.
Okay, so I guess my point is, I mean, you know, if we believe that this letter kind of, if we're thinking the wording of this letter basically creates a policy decision, then maybe we need to separate that and say, this is what it's done. Well, you know, this is what it's done for us, but that doesn't necessarily mean we support it in general. I don't know how we would word that, but, or just, you know, make sure that that's understood that these are the benefits that we've gotten from it. Commissioner McGriff, what do you think about the question was basically about the political nature of the whole vehicle registration fee to begin with, which did go over well very publicly, but was kind of out of the city's control. How do you feel about this letter?
I'm okay with it. I know that the commissioners had been asked to put this to a vote. So I recall, and they did not want to do that. They felt that they had enough direction because of the concern that the community had in general about the condition of county roads. So while I understand that this might be political, I don't have any problem with the letter with the way it's written. I don't think, I think we can show that it's been beneficial. And I think overall, it's been a positive fee for the county and the cities, and the way that it was worked out, I think was amicable, and I think it's reasonable, and it spreads the funding. I know that people always, they get concerned about additional costs, but this money is literally coming from people who drive and who have vehicles, and it's going right back into the system. So it's not like it's being, I don't feel it's being misused in any way. And, I mean, I will say from a personal standpoint, I already pay an additional fee because I have a personalized plate, and I don't see that this is going to be any additional burden as far as I'm personally concerned. And I think that the benefit outweighs the fee.
Well, and I'm going back to remembering the conversation. I know that there was a lot of concern before this was initiated, really similar concerns that we've talked about with regional issues in the past, whether or not it was going to be equitable, how it was going to be dealt with within each city, and all of those kind of conversations. And I feel that a lot of the concerns that we had going into this are not necessarily concerns now. I don't know if Commissioner Wild-Smith has input on how, if this letter is not written correctly, how to reword it in some way, or if it's good the way it is. But
was that part of Commissioner Wild-Smith's concern, is that it appears that we're setting a policy direction?
Right, correct.
Well, it is. I mean, you can't say, I like all the money and we're happy to spend it, but we don't necessarily agree with you charging the residents. So you either are on board and understand that this is charging our residents a fee, which was a hot topic a couple of years ago. It's a little bit different now that it's been implemented, and we're kind of now backcasting because, we've worked out all those questions, right? A couple of years ago, it was hard to know how the money was going to be spent and how it was going to be divvied up and how the cities were going to use it. So now we have a lot of information going forward. I don't think you can separate the two. So that's the reason I'm highlighting it. I don't think that we can say we don't support the county commission and the vote or the fee, but at the same time, we're very happy to take the money, and this is how we're going to spend it. So I feel like that's the reason I was raising it, because it to me, I read this letter and it generally says we support the VRF and how it's being implemented in the county, and this is how we are using it. And I presume that if we're providing public testimony or public comment on this to the Clackamas County Board of Commissioners, that the whole purpose of this is to say, we find this valuable, and therefore, we want you to continue doing it. This letter doesn't come out quite that blatantly and say that. So
it's implied.
It's implied. And so I guess question for Mr. Lewis, I didn't have a chance. I'm sorry. With everything that's going on, I didn't have a chance to go back and listen to the county commission meeting, like the video of that where they were talking about it. But I mean, would it go back to the ballot or they just could remove it?
So I don't believe it would go back to the ballot because it didn't need to go to the ballot initially. So they made this decision without taking it to the ballot, which is part of the, some of the arguments for why it should be reconsidered. One thing I wanted to add was, so this letter started out as a request from their staff because out of the meeting came a work session scheduled for, I want to say next week. It was pretty quick turnaround. Maybe it's the week after.
It's next Tuesday.
And so it was so there was this request or an email from the county staff saying, hey, can you tell us how you're using the money so that we can share that with the commissioners in their work session? And
Okay.
so we started that. And then the other agencies, as I understand it, were feeling like they should be providing some form of letter for that meeting. So each, I think most agencies in county are doing that. So that's where you had a meeting tonight. When I read this, I don't feel like we're advocating for maintaining or not maintaining the fee. There is some implication in that this was really saying, here's how we're using the money and here's how we plan to use the money. It doesn't say whether we support it being discussed further or anything like that. Or that we are pro or not for the fee. It really doesn't say that. It's really saying, here's what we are doing and here's what we plan to do. And that's kind of what the county staff asked for. I suppose we could, we could just submit it as our letter to the staff from staff and see how the conversation goes at C4. I think there are other agencies though that plan to submit a letter. And I haven't seen those. Dana may have, but I haven't seen those other letters. So I don't know exactly what they say, but I think it was just kind of a time issue here. And we knew you had a meeting. We wanted to get it in front of you. But if there's concern for it being a letter from, Commission President Smith, then we could just make it from staff for now and then know that there's more. I know that there's going to be more discussion that's going to ensue at the policy level. And then we could make that decision if that would be preferred.
Commissioner McGriff.
Yeah, I guess to try to do go back in history. So Tony, do you recall whether there was any discussion at the commission back in 2019 when this was passed, and whether there was, whether our commission was staying neutral or anything of that? I'm just trying to recollect kind of what happened back then.
I'm sorry, I'd have to go back and.
Yeah. Well, yeah, okay, that's okay. I mean, it's not absolutely necessary. I think it's important for us to weigh in. Unfortunately, my understanding is that policy sessions, they do not allow any sort of public testimony. So if this is going to go to staff, I think they'll have it in their packet of material. So again, I think it's a very neutral sounding letter, and maybe if it is by inference that we support the VFR, I don't have any problem with it either way, because I see that there's more benefit to it than there is a disadvantage to it, because it's spread in our community, it's spread across the board. It's not being confined to one particular area. We're using it in many different areas. I don't have any problem with the letter going in. I don't have any problem if Rocky wants to sign it, or it could say, that we've discussed this with our commission and we're sending this letter on behalf of the city, and it could be signed by Tony. I don't have any problem, but I think it's important for us to weigh in and let them know that this is very, very beneficial. Unfortunately, I think the county is being a little short-sighted, because I'd like to see how they've been using it. And I know they've been using it because Commissioner Bernard and Commissioner Humberston talked about it a lot, about how the money was being very helpful. And it's achieving some of the benefits that the commission was asked by their community, unincorporated area, to fix some of those roads. And it has been helpful.
All right, so I kind of, John, so I kind of feel like, if the letter was really to answer that question, what are we using the money for, then I don't think that needs to come from the commission. I think that is a staff letter. If we keep it the way that it's written, I don't see even a problem of saying this is how we're using the money. But, you know, the city commission is not taking a policy position on whether to continue it on or not. I mean, I think we could say something in this letter, keeping it the way it is, or we could just say it's a staff letter answering the questions. This is how we're using the money that is coming to us, and keep it simple.
So, I mean, I have no problem making a motion saying that we send a letter, we can have the city manager sign it, saying that we discussed it and we felt, you know, we had a certain level of comfort in sending the letter, and we wanted the county commissioners to know how we're using the money.
Commissioner Last-Smith.
Thank you. So Mr. Lewis, I thought the framing that you provided was super helpful. You know, I received an email from Trent Wilson, who's the government affairs person at the county, kind of looping the cities in, you know, but didn't ask for any, you know, any input, just kind of letting us know that there was a policy discussion. So I really do feel like this letter and the conversation is happening at the staff level in order to get information to support their policy conversation. Otherwise, I think Mr. Wilson at who's the government affairs person would have asked us directly, you know, probably a little bit more. I agree. I think the policy conversation is going to happen at C4 as far as where the cities feel the elected officials, what their input, and usually C4 would draft a letter to address it to the county commission to say how the electeds feel about this. So I appreciate I appreciate you all allowing me to like question the policy of like, what are we saying? And I didn't have a lot of chance like you all. I don't think you had a chance to really read it. This came up really quickly. And so we're all kind of getting up to speed live on the spot. So thanks for bearing with us. I would love for this letter to come from the city staff and signed by City Manager Conkle and or John Lewis. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, I'll move that we send the letter and have it signed by, we can have it signed by both John Lewis and Tony Conkle, going to the county commissioner or to the staff.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do that. I do think that you're going to have that policy discussion, because I think it's going to come to you eventually. So
Yeah,
just know that.
I'm
I
okay
know
with that.
my recollection at the time was that you're right. The city commission, and I think Mayor Holliday was representing at C4. I can't remember, Commissioner Lyle-Smith, if you were, I think you were the secondary, but or you are definitely on Metro C4, but I don't think he took a position. I don't remember him really, wanting to bring that conversation to the commission, but yet it needed to happen. And
I don't think he did either, which is why I was bringing it up, is because I don't feel like we had made a policy decision. I felt like if we were signing a letter, we were kind of leaning, and I just want to make sure we're clear on that. And that's the reason I brought it up. Yeah, I've always been the alternate, or I was the alternate to Mayor Dan Holliday, and then I took
Mayor Dan Holliday.
everyone.
So, in just planting seeds here, while the topic is in front of you, we know based on, we kind of hear it from both sides. There's a lot of want out there. And again, something like this where, not having it in a county, we'd be the one county without a vehicle registration fee. So there's just a long list of needs out there. We've heard it for years, but it was nice to hear it in the survey as well, that folks, feel like the need for more things, transportation related. And so, it's been a tough year. I've been thankful for it during this downturn in the economy, because the gas taxes have been less than what we anticipated. So the vehicle registration fee has helped so that we even have a capital project. And the other piece that I always like to remind you about is that SDCs pay for that new capacity kind of part of a project, but we also have those projects that have a need for the existing community, and that's where we struggle to find the funding for, right? So the new development is often paying into our SDC fund that can be used towards a portion of these projects, but the other portion that needs to be paid for by our existing community really doesn't have a funding source, and this vehicle registration fee kind of helped with that. It doesn't cover all of it, but it definitely helps with that. So that's just planting seeds for the future, but we'll sign the letter and get it out. Thank you.
I'll redo my motion and say yet again. So I move that we send the letter and have it signed by the city manager.
I'll second that.
All right, moved and seconded.
Commissioner Rachel Lyle Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Denise McGriff,
Aye.
Commission President Rocky Smith.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, and now we are going back to the item we pulled from the consent agenda, 7B. Personal services agreement for parks deferred maintenance assessment and capital improvement plan. And Parks and Rec Director Kendall Reed.
So Denise had questions?
Yeah, Commissioner McGriff and I think Commissioner Lyle Smith. So we'll start with Commissioner Lyle Smith.
Hopefully she's still with us.
There she is.
Okay, my question, perfect. My question, I was trying to find it. Oh, there it is. My question is about the capital improvement plan. First, I like the timelines because it looks like this is lining up everything really well to have an informed conversation about the deferred maintenance. But it looked like you were including in this, though, all city facilities, not just parks. And so I was wondering if you could, like with parks, I know we're not questioning, whether or not we're keeping a park or what we're doing with it. So I'm wondering if you could maybe articulate in 1 or 2 sentences the scope of the capital improvement plan for the city facilities that are non-park.
Right. And so the scope of the assessment includes 12 facilities and 30 parks. And when Tony and I had the conversation about moving forward with getting this deferred assessment and developing a capital improvement plan, we wanted it to be citywide. So we could actually have a roadmap for the city so we can stop being so reactionary when we have these issues with deferred maintenance. And this actually will provide that roadmap for us because this will also set timelines for how much money we should be setting aside for replacement so we can have those resources available. But it also sets what's actually immediate, what's critical, and then what can be put off for 1, 2, 3, even 20 years down the line. So this will allow us to address these issues citywide, and then we won't run into this issue again.
Okay. I think the question still remains, though, is hanging out there as to more of a, I guess you're tackling it from a maintenance perspective, which is needed, obviously, if we're going to keep the assets. I guess I'm thinking more of what is the facilities plan for our assets. I believe we were doing kind of a rejiggering of moving parks. We have the new public works facility, and there was some general thought that we might be freeing up properties or anything like that. So I'm just not sure that it sounds like this assessment isn't really going to answer those questions. It's just going to do a baseline assumption that all of the city assets are going to remain as is for the purposes of this study and just address whatever maintenance or facility improvements need to happen.
No, actually what this is going to do is actually provide us the critical information in regards to the numbers, in regards to kind of where we are overall. Because the list that we have right now, there was no actual assessment actually done. We didn't hire someone to come in and actually assess our parks or assess our facilities. And in that list, we have some deferred projects, we have deferred maintenance, we have some capital improvement projects, we have some things that we would like to have, but it's not immediate. And so we don't really have a priority list. And this will allow us to have a priority list with a figure that says, these are your immediate priorities. This is the money that you need. And this is the money you should be setting aside. So year over year, we can start tackling some of these things moving forward and really just have an accurate assessment of where we are.
Okay, I'm not sure you answered my question, but maybe Commissioner McGriff or Commissioner Smith can have a better shot at it, but it's fine.
Well, I think what you're asking is, why are we going to spend money trying to figure out deferred maintenance and long-term costs of some of these facilities when we're not sure which facilities we want to keep or where they're going to be?
Right. So I'm wondering if the assessment is going to try to get at that, like how their user, is there any surplus properties or assets that would come out of this assessment?
No.
Identifying any surplus?
No, that's a separate process to go through.
Okay.
As it relates to the city facilities that we have. So, I think, where do we start? I mean, theoretically, as we go through this process, it could help inform that discussion about what do we do with this facility. Over the next 20 years, it's going to need this much investment. When do we, I think that helps inform the conversation about what do we do? When do we stay at City Hall? Are we going to move City Hall? What do we do with the lower yard of the operations center? I think that's a separate discussion. We're trying to get our handle on. I don't think we're probably leaving any facilities in the next 2 or 3 years. And we do have ongoing maintenance needs of those assets that we own. Even if it were to get to the point of we don't want it anymore and we have to sell it. So because one, facilities is located under Parks and Rec, and they're dealing with the facility maintenance across all facilities, regardless of whether it's a parks facility or not. This is beneficial to them to come up with an operational plan that then you see in your budgets that are approved. So I understand where you're coming from. What goes first?
Yeah, no, it's fine. I just wanted some clarity on the scope of this project, because this was my first time reading. I like the work and I think it's good work. I just wanted to make sure I was clear on the scope and the sideboards of what it was going to provide at the end.
Okay. Did that get more to your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner McGriff.
Yes, thank you. I, for one, was absolutely thrilled to see that this included the citywide facilities. The only reason I wanted to pull it from the agenda was to have a further discussion. As you know, during our retreat, one of the things that I emphasized, among many things, was the fact that we don't have a public facilities plan. And although this is not going to be exactly that document, I feel that it's going to provide a baseline for us to look at exactly what Tony said, our current, present, and possible future needs. And so we'll have a baseline for everything across the board that the city owns. And I think that we've needed that for a long time because we don't really know. I think this is a really excellent start to give us information that we need in order to plan for today and to plan for the future. And again, if we decide to move City Hall, that'll be, at least we'll have this baseline. We can go from there. We're not going to be starting from scratch. So I really support the approach. And although I didn't have a super lot of time to look at it, I had marked some stuff up in pencil, which is why I went to go get my highlighter so I could bring those things out. But I think it's a good start. I reviewed all of the references they had. I was mostly concerned about the references from Oregon, of course. I mean, what they do in Corona and other places, that's probably helpful in terms of cities our size, but I was looking to see who in our state had actually utilized this firm. I also noticed there were no women on this team, which is interesting. But the city of McMinnville, I thought was really good. It included all their essential facilities. City of Hillsborough looks like everything as well. And I think that's an important step. So I think it's a good overview, and it'll provide us with a lot of valuable information. I'm hoping in future that we're going to be running this through some DEI so that we get a little bit broader. So are these the only people that responded to the RFP?
Yes, ma'am. We had a pretty tight budget.
Yeah, I know we did. So I don't have any additional questions. I think that all the questions that I had were addressed in the document itself.
All right, do we have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to move that we, let's see, where are we back up here? That we approve the personal services agreement with Bureau Veritas Technical Assessment LLC for Parks Deferred Maintenance Assessment and Capital Improvement Plan.
I'll second it.
Shouldn't it say deferred maintenance assessment and capital for city parks and citywide facilities? So I guess I will amend my own motion to add that, so it includes that.
I'll second the amended motion.
Thank you both. Commissioner Rachel Lau Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Denise McGriff,
Aye.
Commission President Rocky Smith.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, and that brings us to communications, City Manager Tony Konkol.
No, thank you, evening commissioners. I just wanted to pass along that the ballots for the March 9th election for mayor were mailed today, and that the ballot drop boxes are available at City Hall, and there is one up at the Clackamas County Red Soils campus to drop those ballots if you'd like to do that in a ballot box. I'll give just a quick update on the response to the ice storm and the trees that have come down. We have reassigned several staff members across multiple departments to storm response, public works and parks, police department, community development, human resources, finance. So a lot of effort from staff. I really do appreciate all the work that they've done. Echoing Mr. Gifford, those are the things that you see. There are many, many things going on behind the scenes to make those things happen. So just a very big thank you to the commission for supporting the emergency declaration, the community for working with us, being patient as we try to catch up and get ahead of and on top of all the impacts. And then once again, I just can't say enough about the work that the staff does to support this community, this commission, and one another in addressing these issues. We had several additional contractors assisting public staff today in teams doing debris cleanup within the right of way. So roadways, planter strips, sidewalks, those typically, generally speaking, encompass the rights of way throughout Oregon City. We were able to get several more crews. One crew was able to bring in a bucket truck to reach some of the higher limbs that are out of the reach of the typical crews that did not have those. I'd really also like to thank Clackamas Community College for offering us a site for Oregon City residents to bring debris and drop that off. It has been extremely successful, so we are asking patience. The Clackamas Community College yellow lot number 3 is at capacity. We're going to be bringing in a grinder to start chipping things. So we are going to have to temporarily close some of these facilities, drop-off sites, as we try to manage the debris management, the debris that's being dropped off. It was significant today, both at the Cove and at CCC. We have a little more flexibility because of the space available at the Cove. So just please be patient with us. We do have to take safety into concern We've got, looking at a pretty large chipper, which it's really just not appropriate to have the public in the vicinity of it while it's doing its work, trying to grind down all the debris that's been dropped. So we'll communicate as best we can. I would anticipate potentially tomorrow closing for one of the lots for a little bit so that we can get a handle on it based on what we've seen today. There's just an incredible demand that we're trying to ride this initial wave through. We have been able to staff up both facilities, both at the college and at the Cove for weekend, both Saturday and Sunday availability. So once again, we do need to start dealing with chipping some of this debris just based on what we've seen today. I imagine the weekend is going to be as busy, if not more. So we do need to do some management there. And once again, I might have already said this, but I really do want to give a big thank you to Clackamas Community College for their efforts in helping us with that. Reimbursement, we're still working through that. I am making the assumption that we will not be reimbursed. That could change. But I think if there are definitely different impacts throughout the region. We were hit really hard. I think other jurisdictions are dealing with power outages and internet access and, icy driving conditions when that event. But I having driven through some of the other parts, I do not see the same amount of damage that we've seen in Oregon City as it really relates to tree down and debris down. So we are, managing and trying to get our hands around the burn rate and what we're spending on that. And the flip side is, we've got to deal with it and get our streets and sidewalks in a safe condition. So that'll be a balancing act, and there'll be more to come on that. I really do, once again, just want to emphasize safety. There are still multiple locations with power lines down. We were able to get, I know PGE was down in Kenema, one of the harder hit areas, as well as our crews trying to start to do some debris clearing in that area. I realize that there are needs everywhere. We're doing our best to prioritize the main roads, the larger arterials, down to the collectors, down to the neighborhood streets. I also would like folks to realize that if there are down power lines, we cannot set our crews in there. We realize it's an inconvenience, but we do have to be safe. There are still power outages in Oregon City as well as lights out, so drive carefully and please slow down for our crews on the streets, trying to get some of this debris out of there. There was some additional work at the library, trying to get some of those larger limbs so that we are currently open. The library is open for whole pickups. We're directing people through the 6th Street entrance at this time until we can get the 7th Street side in a little better condition. And as for the 2 drop-off sites, I appreciate the coverage from COIN last night, but I do need to emphasize, and I wish that we had the ability to serve everybody. We do not. We are going to turn away folks who bring debris who are not Oregon City residents. We just do not have the capacity.
That makes sense.
We'll be probably re-notifying and trying to emphasize that this is for Oregon City residents only at this time. We're busting at the seams as it is, keeping up with what we have in the city. So with that, I'm fairly confident that we are in a very good position as it relates to water availability and water quality. So thank you to our staff and working with South Fork to make sure that that's addressed. They do a good job of balancing that. So we're in a very good position there. Much improved from where we were a couple of days ago. So with that, if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Commissioner McGriff.
Yeah, so we're doing the chipping, and I'm assuming that our parks have some use for this multiple ton of chips we're gonna get, because we can probably use it on pathways. I know things have gotten a little muddy in some of the park areas because of people are using them, and we're due to have more rain. So I'm hoping we'll be able to use them all. And then I guess the other question is I brought up to Ms. Churway is, as you know, I generally get very nervous when I start hearing chainsaws around the neighborhood, because that's not always a good sign. But she said that we have a link online for people to submit information about street trees and those sort of things. Some of them, you know, again, we did get hit pretty hard, but I can assure you that south of us got hit even harder. And as the storm went south, it really clobbered southern Clackamas County. We got a brunt of it, but they got it worse. So I'm hoping that that link is available and that people know about it so they can submit information regarding their street trees and not just cut them down when all they need is a little trimming.
I think that based on what I've seen, I think this is going to be a discussion that we're going to have to bring back to the commission on how to proceed. The damage is so significant and so widespread. You know, we're going to have to come up with some policy discussions about how we move forward related to that. We are requesting information just trying to put together numbers of the impacts and locations, and potentially coming up with a program to try to offset some of the damage that we've seen. I know that we've received several questions concerning, you know, what do I do? You know, I'm a resident, what do I do? As I stated earlier, we're focusing on debris pickup within the rights of way, and the roadway, the plant strip, and the sidewalk. We are encouraging, if folks have the ability along their frontage, to pile up the debris in the roadway against the curb or edge of pavement. That would make it a little bit more efficient as we're going through cleaning up, being able to hit a pile rather than, you know, picking up debris along the entirety of every frontage in every street throughout the community. We are asking that people do not bring all of their yard debris on their private property and put it out in the roadway. We are focusing on the rights of way and the impacts there. We'll continue to have discussions of what type of availability or resources could potentially be available. We are encouraging people to call their homeowners insurance company to have some of those discussions. But we are requesting that people do not put all of their private property debris out in the street at this time.
I see Mr. Lewis has put up a picture. Is that in your neighborhood?
That is, I'll tell you, these folks were busy today, all day, and they held most of this off themselves as well, but kind of represents what Tony was talking about, trying to get it in the parking strip. Neighbors helping neighbors is the mantra that I think we need on this for Oregon City, because we're not going to be able to do it all. We're just not. It's not very efficient for us.
No.
And it's going to be costly. You know, it's like any emergency. You know, the contractors are good, but they charge for their time, and so neighbors helping neighbors is where we need to be with this. And I guess the other thing, I don't know if Jim's going to talk about safety, but you know, that ice storm, there's things in the trees still. You know, people need to look up a fair amount as well. But yeah, it's been a big effort. And I do want to reach out to Tony and everybody else. It's been another team building event. I don't think we need many more of these kind of team building events, but it's been great. With Tony being out, Laura was awesome as interim. She helped a lot. Jim Band is Denise. You'll be glad to know he does something other than plumbing. He's very good at managing debris pickup too as well. So he's multi-talented, and yeah, it's just been fun working with the team again. I think we've got a lot of work to do, and I hope people recognize that if they can get it from the curb to the dump sites, that's even better. It's even better, but I understand a lot of people can't.
Well, did you answer my question about the chips, Mr. Conkle?
I did not. I'm going to need to have a discussion, Commissioner McGriff. We're in overwhelmed debris management right at the moment.
Well, I'm just hoping we can use it on our properties. I mean, we've got multiple needs for paths and God knows what. So, you know, if we can use the chips, we should keep them. But
I think we'll have
And,
plenty of chips.
yes, I don't think we're giving them away to people because we can probably use them at the city. But I did want to add that I was very pleased to get the email information from our communications manager, and I forwarded that out to my groups of people and other sites that I'm on. I also sent a little note to people saying, please do not hire the first fly-by-night person that comes by your house. Make sure they're licensed and bonded. Do not give them a bunch of money and then they disappear. So I said, be prudent in hiring. You know, if some guy comes along the street and says, hey, I can take care of that for you, make sure that you're protected, because this is a time where people unfortunately will take advantage of people who are in a vulnerable situation. And I don't want to see anybody end up with a vendor or a person that comes by their house, takes their money and then doesn't perform the service. So I put that on my personal Facebook page as well, saying, please make sure you get somebody reputable and that, you know, you're not throwing away your money. So that's one of those cautionary tales as well. But thank you to staff as well.
All right, Tony, do you have anything else?
No, sir, that does it for me.
Okay, so we'll go to commissioners. Commissioner Lyle-Smith.
Thank you. So of course, my topic is a continuation of Tony's. Yeah, kudos to the city. That's a shocking amount of damage to our trees, and I'm not at all concerned that people are using chainsaws frivolously. When I walk around my neighborhood and I drive down Gaffney Lane or Myers Road, it looks like a tornado hit, and trees are split like bananas, and big trees, and so it's a lot of work, and I think we're all pulling together. So city staff, you guys are doing a great job. We were, if we were really on this throughout the entire weekend. Laura Turway did an excellent job as the interim city manager while Tony was out. And I appreciated her updates, and I know all of the staff was working around the clock and are still working around the clock. So kudos to all of you. A couple of things that I had a couple of questions that came across social media. One was asking about the Veterans Village and the like affordable housing off of Holcomb. Those are county run properties, and I didn't have any information on them at the time. I did reach out to the county to get an update. So I just wanted to say really quickly, I got a very long email on what they've been doing. In general, I will say that they have touched base with all of the residents in these low-income properties, the Veterans Village, following up with the veterans and all the properties that they manage. No one has been injured. None of the properties have sustained any major damage, which is all good news. So they have followed up with them to check with them to make sure that they are okay. They have set up a food pantry and communicated that with these residents in particular. They have provided dumpsters to these properties to help them in their cleanup efforts. And they provided some blankets to some of the residents who, I believe this was today, they provided blankets to folks in Veterans Village and, like I said, these other properties for folks who are still without power. And they're providing some gas cards and stuff like that. So it, like I said, it's a long email of the work. I was essentially saying, what's the county doing? Because I haven't heard anything. And so rest assured, the county is taking care of these communities that need extra support. And and it looks like they're doing a good job there. The other area that I reached out to the county on is generally emergency preparedness. So the county actually has they have a whole emergency management resilience office, and they do outreach, and they have a lot of materials. And if anything, this is highlighted between this and the wildfires last summer. It's kind of highlighted our need to try to make sure our community is prepared. If we felt like you were halfway prepared, this probably highlighted gaps in your preparedness plan of what you had, whether or not you were short on propane or you were short on this or that. And so I know it did for me and my husband. It did that for us. And so I'm hoping that I can coordinate with the county. And so I am looking in to what services they provided. I'm hoping maybe we can do some spring emergency preparedness presentations to our community. I've just started that outreach to the county folks, and we're right in the throes of this recovery, so I'm not expecting big answers, but I just kind of wanted to put it out there and hope that I have general support. I think I would have general support from the city commission. I want to let you know that I was reaching out to see what the services the county provides for something that we can, ideally before wildfire season this summer. So sometime this spring we can circle back on that, but just trying to think ahead. But I'll stop there. It's good job, city. I think we've been hit hard, and we're doing the best we can. And I appreciate the talking points. I will be following up online with some social media posts to try to continue our messaging on that. So that's it. Thanks.
Commissioner McGriff, did you have anything else?
Well, my questions were initially primarily for Mr. Conkle, but I also want to put in my sincere thanks to the staff. They've been out doing stuff. I've been trying to, all the inquiries that I've received, I've only made 2 calls, and I've been trying to field the rest of them myself because I had adequate information. I do want to concur with Mr. Lewis and say I'll look forward to working with Chief Band to do some of those facility inspections, which is one of those additional duties as required that he has. So I'll look forward to that because that'll be a lot of fun. I promise to bring my own clipboard, however. But thank you to Tony, and thank you to Laura and the entire City of Oregon City staff and all of our contractors and everything. And, if you don't hear from me, I will say this to some of I bailed for 2 days because we had no power and my house got down to about 39 degrees, and that was not good. So I was operating out of a base camp out of town, but still in touch. But thank you to everybody, and I hope the power comes back on in the rest of the neighborhood because we've got people that have been down now 3-4 days. So anyway, thank you so much.
So I don't want to spend a lot more time on this, but I do want to thank everybody. There are still a lot of people without power, a lot of people without internet, and probably will be for a long time. So, keep checking in on your neighbors. It was nice to actually be able to see neighbors and, kind of check in with people in your neighborhood, which I think we don't do enough in this day and age, safely, of course. And so I just want to thank everybody. I won't go through everyone, but definitely, a lot of us spent most of the week and weekend, the long weekend that became an extra long weekend and is still going. But everyone was working nonstop. And I spent most of my time in my car on my phone because I'm still out of power. So I drove around to the city a lot. And I definitely am shocked at the devastation throughout the neighborhood and city, the entire city, but especially the old neighborhoods, Kenema, McLaughlin, and Rivercrest, and up in Holcomb. It's just unbelievable. So, thank you to all the people at South Fork Water and John Collins especially for making sure we were continuing to get water, and John Lewis. Our police department, library, public works, parks department, unbelievable. And Laura did a great job this week in keeping us all updated. And as soon as Tony got back, he took over too, and was, we were getting calls, multiple calls a day checking in on every aspect of the city and what was down. So I just, it's, not a fun situation to be in, but it's nice to know that when we are in these situations that this city still functions and we're prepared for, I think, almost anything else that could come. So thank you all. Jim, did you want to say something? You don't normally pop up, so.
I know with all these duties that keep getting added, I'm just going to stay plugged in. The one safety thing I'll say real quick, and then I've got a resource. A carbon monoxide poisoning, that's another thing for people to be really careful of with generators and people using their campers that they haven't used for a long time. We did have a pretty tough situation happen over the last few days here in town, and other places have had it. There's one thing that we talked to Larry Didway today, and the Oregon City High School has a storm resource center that's going to be open for the next 2 days, just Thursday and Friday, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And what they're going to provide, they've got blankets, water, flashlights, lanterns, batteries, and hand warmers they're going to be handing out. They're going to have some charging stations. A lot of people who don't have power need to be able to charge their phones and laptops. They're also going to have some showers available, but people need to bring their own toiletries and towels. And then they're going to have some 30-pound food boxes with perishable food. Those will be available as long as they last. So I think there's a finite amount of those food boxes, but that'll be for the next 2 days at the Oregon City High School. Thanks.
That's awesome. That's great. All right. Anything else this evening? All right. I think we're done. We don't have any other meetings this evening, so we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Stay warm.